How you guys doing? Good.
Russell, are you seeing the work that you and Paul do in LA? Like, are you seeing that manifest into more production during the games?
Definitely. I think that what Paul Richardson's been able to do this year is a testament to his hard work. Is a testament to everything that he's been doing all offseason, honestly. He had an unbelievable offseason. He was just getting tons of work down in LA. We were getting together, throwing a bunch, and it's really proven that he's really back at a high level. He's gotten better every year. Obviously, he's had some circumstances that have held him back. That's the only thing that's held him back. And he's a phenomenal receiver, a phenomenal player, and we love that we have him on our football team.
How's that come about? Do you reach out to him to you, or how do you arrange it?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the receivers, we always, our receivers, tight ends, running backs, we're always talking about getting together and just trying to find times to throw. And it's we're all very busy. We all have families and everything else that we want to go back home to see or whatever it may be. But we always kind of, whenever it's the off season or bye week or whatever, we kind of know where guys are going to be. And hey, if you're going to be in California, let's get together, let's throw, let's hang out, whatever it is. So it's good.
How does that show up during the season, that work that you guys put in?
Well, I think it's like anything else. What you put into something is what you're going to get out. And I think that we have so many guys that have always put in the extra work, the dedication that it takes to be great. There's no secret to it, to success except for hard work. And I really believe that. I think that ultimately we have a lot of guys who've put in so much hard work, and it's not just on offense, on defense, and special teams. Everybody's dedicated to trying to, perfect their craft. And talking about Paul, for example, when we were, this bye week, we were definitely talking a bunch about, hey, what are we going to do? What's the plan? When are we going to get together? Trying to figure out when we could throw. And it's always great to continue that work, especially when you're on a kind of feeling like you're on a roll and getting in the rhythm and really doing a good job of that. And then you want to keep that going. So that's been really important for us.
In the game, is it to the point where you can expect where he'll be or how he'll react just by doing that extra work?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely something that we, in a game, we can look at each other and know, hey, I want you to do this right here, or, how I expect him to come out of his route or whatever it could be. And those really, that's where the difference is, and that's where things are really paying off. And just to have that communication, it's like one of those things. Sometimes you don't even have to say anything; you just know, and through the body language, through the connection, and we have that with really all of our receivers and tight ends and everybody right now. So it's really good.
Did you get the sense that Paul understood sort of the opportunity he had this year and everything with the way the receiving core was and all of that?
I don't think this is a new thing for Paul. I don't want it to seem that way. Paul's always been an incredible worker ever since he came in as a rookie. Like I said, he had two unfortunate situations where he got injured, and that was what slowed him down. Nothing else. It wasn't the work. It wasn't his work ethic. He's always been an elite worker, and so I think this year, he's been really pumped to get out there and play and have that opportunity at a high level, and he's taken full advantage of it. And in my opinion, he can be one of the best receivers in the National Football League.
Last week, as has often been the case, you were going to Doug Baldwin on third down. Just what makes Doug so good on third down?
Well, we have so many different guys that can get open and find ways. Obviously, Doug is a guy that it's really hard. I don't think anybody can cover him. He's so fast. He's so quick. He's explosive. He can get down the field. There's a lot of things that he can do. And I think that he's a competitor. Third down is about competing and finding a way to make a play, and that's usually the case. And so Doug is a guy that you rely on. That you can trust, and he's going to do it right. He's going to get open fast, and he's going to make a play.
Deshaun Watson, do you know him at all, or what have you thought kind of watching him and the way he's progressed this year and come on?
I've known Deshaun a little bit. I can't say I know him really well, but we've talked once or twice, I believe, and then we I've always loved watching him play in college. And so and then playing. I haven't got to see him play a bunch this season, obviously, because we're playing at the same time usually on Sundays. But it's really exciting to see him, step into his role and do such a wonderful job of it. I mean, he's playing, unbelievable football, and he's a special player and will be a special player for a long time. So whenever you see that, I personally get excited for guys when they have that opportunity. And people have doubted him for whatever reason. I don't know how you doubt somebody that's up for a Heisman Trophy and done so many amazing things and won a national championship and just has been a special player throughout his entire college career. But when he had that opportunity, he took full advantage of it in the preseason, and then when they finally let him play, it's cool to see him do that. We don't want him to do too well this week, but I think that he's gonna I think that in terms of who he is as a player long term, I think he's going to be a fun one to watch and a special player to watch.
Pete Carroll always talks about finishing. You guys are outscoring opponents 53-9 in the fourth quarter this year. You have the best quarterback rating in the NFL in the fourth quarter. What do you think makes yourself and this team play so well late in games?
Well, we always want to play better early. That'll help us a little bit. But I will say that to play championship football, you have to be great in the fourth quarter. You have to be relentless. You have to be lights out. And I think that's a mentality that we have, in the sense that, no matter what the circumstances are, no matter what the score is or whatever, that fourth quarter we're going to put our foot down and try to do everything we can to be great out there, to be perfect, really, and why not, And so I think that as we're growing, as we're building, the key to a season is a process, right? And there's going to be times that, sometimes you're going to be great, early in the season, maybe in the early part of the game, and not as great late, or it could be the other way around, like the way that we are right now. I think that we're playing great in the fourth quarter, as you said. But once you go throughout the season, you want to have this constant progression. You really don't want to be, in my opinion, and this may sound crazy, but you don't want to necessarily be perfect on everything early on, because then you're probably going to lose it typically, as you guys have seen just teams be whatever they are, not necessarily record, but just things are going really well, but then they fall off. And I think for us, we kind of just have always had this constant progression in our mind. And I think that's really critical. Yeah, do we want to be undefeated? That'd be great. But, I think other than that, I think that's really where we found ways to win and found ways to grow our football team as players and as a group.
How much easier is it for you and the team to trust in that process because you've done it before and you've been there?
Well, I think we've, really since 2012, we've really been able to do that. I think it's the character of the players that we have. I think it's the way that we practice. I think there's this edge and this way to find a way to win. Like I say, winners find a way to win. There's no, this is how it is, And so, I don't have the perfect answer for you, but I do believe that it's because of the character of the guys that we have, the style of coach that we have in Coach Carroll, his demeanor, and how he keeps everybody relaxed in big moments and stuff like that. And I think ultimately, like I said, if you want to be a great football team, you have to be able to do that. So I do think part of it is definitely because of our experience, especially at this point. But I also think back in 2012, we didn't have that much of it then, so we found a way. 2013, we found a way. So I think it's a mixture of the way that you practice, the way that you believe. I think it's a mixture of also too just kind of the character that you have.
Speaking of John's point about conditioning, what do you feel like in the fourth quarter versus the first quarter in terms of just being fatigued, and do you sense a fatigue on the other side of the ball too when you?
Yeah, I don't feel fatigue in the game. I don't feel fatigue at all. Actually, I think it's just as the game goes on, you kind of notice what's working, what's not, and that's a good thing about football. It's like you play throughout these quarters and throughout these plays, and every situation, every possession is a little bit different. I love as much as I love baseball. It's an amazing sport, right? But you're probably gonna get a fastball, changeup, slider. It's one of those three options, right? In football, there's so many different scenarios and looks and everything else that has to happen, and the defense has to process that, and it makes it really, really difficult. Especially if you change it up and mix it up a lot. So I think that's the cool part about playing the game of football, and the kind of the mind game that you have to play throughout the game, and so that's what great teams do.
Do you like Techno Thursday?
Yes, I'm wearing the short shorts today, so you guys will get to see my thighs today. It'll be fun.
Thanks for the warning.
Do other days have themes?
So what?
Do other days have themes, or?
I think this it's been a fun process doing just acting silly. I think, but also, I think it brings fun to what we get to do. So in terms of other days, no, this is really Luke Wilson really kind of started this. I guess he started wearing short shorts and he started listening to a whole bunch of techno all of a sudden. So we figured it was kind of funny, and then we started listening to techno music every once in a while at the end of a meeting, or when we were leaving a meeting every once in a while, and then it's evolved to this. So, but it's actually it's been it's always just good to see team camaraderie. There's so many different ways that happens, but I guess this is just one weird, interesting way.
What is Luke like in the locker room?
Lucas is probably the most passionate guy in terms of how he cares about his teammates and how he wants to play the game. I mean, really, I mean, you couldn't ask for more of a teammate, more of a player than Luke Wilson. Truly, I really mean that. He's a guy that brings energy, enthusiasm, passion to the game, understanding, clear head. He does things right every time. He's great.
Russ, obviously this is Watson's first time coming to CenturyLink. Was there ever a time during your rookie season where you're in the middle of the game and you're like, dang, I'm so glad that I'm not playing right now when the crowd is at its loudest?
I love it when the crowd's at its loudest. I think that's where all the fun happens. So no, not for me. I think that it's definitely a tough place to play here. It's not going to be easy. But he's a great quarterback. I don't think it'll faze him. I think he'll be ready to play.
Russell, what can we expect from that defense on Sunday? Texans defense.
Well, the defense has been playing. Obviously, they've lost several key guys in JJ, Merciless, and everything else. So, for us, I think you're going to see definitely a mixture. They love mixing things up and everything else. And Clowney's a special player. To see him rush the passer and do things. He's pretty cool outside. Just watching him on film. I mean, the guy can really run and make plays. So for us, we just have to execute and execute at a high level. They've got a lot of guys that can make a lot of good plays for them. They got a lot of guys that have played and been in the game and have a lot of experience in the past 6 games or whatever it is for them. And so they are relatively young in terms of up front, but they're very talented. And so you don't take age for granted. You think about what they can do despite their age, being young. I think that doesn't really matter. I think that they're ready to play. And their corners are really good, making a lot of plays. So you have a lot of respect for what they've been doing. So it's gonna be a great game.
How have you noticed Doug Baldwin grow as a person, as a man? Not just
Yeah, I think that in terms of Doug Baldwin, me and him have gotten super super close, and I think that we all grow, we all continue to build on who we're supposed to be and who we become and everything else, and through our experiences and through our lives. And Doug is one of the most impactful people that you'll meet. When you meet him, he lights up a room. Obviously he's on the field, he's making plays, and he lights up the field. But when you meet him and you experience him and you get to know him for who he is, he truly can walk into a room and he'll truly change the room. And so I think that's the best thing about Doug, and he continues to grow as a man, as a husband, and everything else. And so it's cool to watch that in that process. And I'm glad he's my receiver, that's for sure.
Anything else?
Any thoughts on World Series?
Any thoughts on the World Series? Well, I got a lot of thoughts. I could be up here for another 10 minutes. But I was rooting for the Yankees there. I like watching Aaron Judge. He looks like Jimmy Graham, And then obviously they lost. So I grew up right down the street from Justin Verlander. So my brother actually played baseball with him ever since we were little. I played baseball with Ben, his little brother. We grew up together and played baseball AAU games, little league games. So I think at this point I'm probably rooting for Houston because of him and our friendship and who he is as a person. So I do like watching obviously the Dodgers being in LA and seeing them play, but that friendship with Justin's pretty cool. So I think Houston will find a way to pull it out.
How often do you guys stay in touch, you and Justin?
We talk, whenever he comes out here, when they play the Mariners, for example, we talk a bunch. We get together, or whatever, go out to eat, or whatever, and we talk. We check in with each other probably every couple months, every few months. So yeah, occasional. But he's real busy. I'm busy too, so But his family's amazing. I mean, and his brother's a really good baseball player too. So, so I've been close with their family for a long time.
Thanks, Russell.
Thank you guys. Go Hawks.